The day goes by without much else going on. The next you meet is, I would likely be the boat hull
It's easy.
and away from prying eyes. So who wants to start with the accusations, yelling, screaming, stabbing?
Well, we don't really know anything that's happening, except, well, Maven has some...
Maven's the only one that knows anything about what each other did.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't have anything to bring up in character. We just spoke, and I passed off the information I had. Like, I'm just kind of, oh, you guys want to talk? Sure, what's going on?
And Maven would have checked the security when he had a chance and noticed it was fried, basically. Scrambled a bit.
Scrubbed, yeah.
I will inform the others about the nature of Singe and that he wishes for another Unchained or an Angel.
Is that what you went to the 61st floor for? To talk about possibly betraying one of us or some other rando?
Not initially.
You know, I know of entities like this Mr. Singe. They're less trustworthy than a demon. Which is kind of saying a lot. Because you can never really know what they're up to. Like an angel, you know what it's there for. A demon, you can kind of guess what they're there for. But he called himself an exile? Nobody knows what they're about. That's the whole point. They didn't have a purpose.
He was insistent that he found his own.
And I don't know, man. It's
And all Maven can think is, that's not comforting.
that's not comforting. No, it isn't.
Sorry, I was just looking at the look on Pooter's face, and I was like, that's the only thing going through his head right now.
Those that want something, such desires can be exploited if need be.
And can you be sure that his wants won't change on a whim? Because I don't know how to predict whatever he is. If he never had a purpose to begin with, he has no framework to build on to predict.
It's a necessary risk.
What's the reward that makes this risk so necessary?
He has been building his own network, mainframe, infrastructure. Such things that we would have access to. And I'm sure other terms could have been negotiated.
Did my camera just die?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Firefox just died. Hold on, I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, we can still hear you, so you can keep going.
Okay.
Well, you get that going.
Yes. And Whatever infrastructure he might be able to build, how do you know it's even any good? Will it? Is it compatible?
By its nature, it will be usable. Crude, but functional.
And you would settle for second quality?
Given the situation, yes.
I don't like it. I don't really like things I can't predict, and he is just top of that list. There's too many unknowns with him. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that not to do whatever it is you want to do. That's not why I'm saying all this. I'm just telling you, one, be careful, and two, try not to drag any of us down with you.
The way I see it, and to be prosaic about such things, you two remain unknown quantities. An advantage, at least for the time being.
Do we, though? That book you mentioned concerns me. Like, it had recorded dates of blips of reality?
Two can disappear within the many.
But he found one.
He had suspicions.
Our method of infiltration was not rewriting reality. We stepped into the skin of a human. Angels rewrite reality when they create their covers. We hijacked existing reality. By all rights, we line up just as correctly as any other human employee. Well, perhaps your current cover may not, given its hastily made existence.
Meanwhile, access to the information is forthcoming. One angel's identity already revealed, with others potentially within the pages and such glitches.
Yes, and he confirmed, suspicions of angels and hunters, apparently. I do not want to be standing in front or near a hunter for any reason at all, ever. Again,
So,
no.
This is a given, though. We do not need an exile to confirm that there are agents of the God Machine around.
No, I didn't. It was just...
But their identities can now be confirmed. And one of them potentially delivered. Disconnected and exposed to the newest acquisition.
You would damn your distant kin to a unknown infection, one that is very likely far, far more concerning.
They would
than
damn
just
us to destruction. They would damn us to destruction in a heartbeat.
Some might prefer destruction than the unknown.
It depends on how you look at it. It would be destruction to us, just recycling for them. They'll reuse the parts to make a new angel.
You may not be as concerned about this disease as I am, who have held it in my own hands, essentially.
But to know it, to understand it, is a necessary step in any conflict. Collateral damage is to be expected.
Given time, someone will fall to it anyways. I fail to see how purposefully infecting someone as immoral is the correct route.
It is not.
It's
In
the
such a
fast-
situation, I don't believe morals even factor.
Morals have never factored, but you would destroy useful individuals to gain the knowledge that would come naturally given time.
Yes.
Such is your choice. I did not make it for you.
um, you know, I can't stop you, even if I don't agree with you. But if you do decide to ally yourself, that may not be the right word. Go along.
An
with-
agreement
Yeah, an agreement.
of convenience.
Yeah. I worry that it will just lead, one thing after another, and then where will you be at the end of that road?
In the worst case scenario, burnout. I disappear. Take a new cover.
I wouldn't say that's the worst case scenario. It's down there for sure, but definitely not the worst.
Omitting destruction.
Right.
Yeah.
So, are you?
For a time, while it remains an arrangement of convenience. Yes. Should the terms change, everything is to be reconsidered.
So pray that he does not alter the deal. Then again, who would you pray to, right?
Faith is, like so many other things, a construct of society.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm not going to stop you. Just be very, very careful. We're already down one. Don't know where she went. Being down another just puts what we're doing at a critical disadvantage.
That we can agree on. I will endeavor to remain as secretive as possible, and your identities will not be compromised, at least not by me.
Speaking of compromised identities, and he gives Kant a pointed look. I was in the security room watching some video feeds. Saw something interesting in one of the elevators. Care to explain?
The decision was calculated.
I see.
I have taken my own steps to cover it up.
I noticed.
You do not need to concern yourselves with, choice words coming from someone who already destroyed one of their covers.
On accident.
Planned destruction is better than accidental destruction. I would rather bring down a building on my own terms than have it be destroyed in a hurricane.
can see the merit in that, I suppose.
I am taking a more direct approach with some of my investigations.
And what have you learned?
Very little, which frustrates me to no end. I have learned that this disease is here, and I have learned that the God Machine is working against it. Its exact methods, I do not know yet. I could not pry that information.
Well, I mentioned before I likely know whereabouts they're keeping it, whether that information would be useful to you.
Whereabouts they're keeping it is a given, I suppose. One of the laboratories.
There are many laboratories.
They are likely keeping it in more than one spot.
Yeah.
But this is my guess. However, this is still a human company, so how should I know? They are painfully unpredictable at times.
Okay.
Knowing its location is a start, but without knowing what they plan to do with it, how they plan to counter it. I know that they plan to keep it contained and have failed, and thus its presence now.
Well, we know that they want to experiment with it on our kind and our cousin's kind.
Deva Corp does. The God Machine does not. I do not particularly care what Deva Corp wants, nor what they plan to do.
Well, at least each of you have an end goal. Well, maybe not an end goal. A direction. Although one of yours is probably a little more dangerous than the others. As usual, I'm here on support. If either of you need me for nothing too extensionally dangerous.
Going back at a game for a second here, just so if I remember correctly, when I was talking with that angel, it had said that they had schemed to keep the disease contained, right? They didn't, but did they mention that they were using a group of people, or how, I don't remember what was said, how it was worded.
They had referred to machinations.
Yeah,
and working. Yeah, they didn't refer specifically to any group of people or anything like that.
That's what I thought. Like, I don't think I'm actually canonically aware of anyone yet, but I want to know what those machinations are, because if it was contained once, that's a start. Obviously, there's plenty of information to be gathered still. We still don't really know what this exile's end goal is. Data collection is great and all, but it appears he's shifting his goal to this disease. We don't know what the God Machine's end goal is. We don't know how either group plans to do anything. And we don't know where this disease came from, other than it's incredibly old and was contained.
How was it contained? Did anyone mention that? Are there records anywhere? Maybe I can look into that.
The term of machinations does not really provide much direction.
No.
This was the term that I pried from the incident you observed. However, I suspect its appearance in Brazil leads me to suspect a containment zone there. That or someone purposely moved it to throw off a trail. And released it, which is also now a possible. Did containment fail, or was it purposely released?
What's with that look, Storyteller?
Glaring at the person that caused this entire incident. Sorry, I
don't
was
know
looking
what
through
sh-
time and space.
What you talking about? There's no record of that.
There is. I need to check the book. I've got a book which is literally called Big Book of History and Time and Space.
Yeah, go to page like 17 million, then right there you see Schmuck kicks kidney with foot. It's a little picture book.
It's got flaps.
Oh, I'm off track. But yes, my current plan of direction. I want to know what the God Machine is doing with it. What its plans are. To that end, I want to figure out what it's doing. I want to figure out what it previously did. I want to figure out what this disease actually is. There's not a disease on this planet that actively recognizes me as non-human and reacts to me.
Yeah, that's very concerning that it can change in such a fundamental way. That's probably why Mr. Singe wants to play with it.
Storyteller, do I have anything from the Big Book of Time and Space, Occult Matrix, that would be pertinent at this point?
Oh,
Happy to make a roll.
yeah, because it is multi-volumed, so there's a lot of information. It would take a considerable amount. But go ahead and give me a roll. We'll do composure plus investigation, because it's not necessarily how smart you are, it's how patient you are to go through something that's incredibly dry, such as that.
So 4, and I've got a specialty in God Machine.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is quite literally...
Right?
3 successes. Well, since you were retroactively going back, and we are saying that you were looking specifically for things linked to this disease, as it were, things get fuzzy. Because it was oral tradition for a very long time. Predates papers, so most of what you were digging into in these incredibly early volumes were, 1, tales of tales of tales, and 2, these particular parts of the manuscript you were looking at weren't even books. They're scrolls. A group of individuals were able to create some sort of, for lack of a better term, magic that sealed away an entity that, according to these reports, things get confusing. As your essential quantum computer for a brain here attempts to calculate how something existed before infinity, that is what these scrolls essentially say. Because the God Machine has existed since forever, and this entity has existed since before forever, which causes this odd cognitive loop.
Almost going into stable paradox. It is only now that such a construct has come into an aggressively made an aggressive outward encroach after sharing that.
All this does is create more questions.
Inevitably.
If the God Machine is not aware of this thing, or where it came from,
Perhaps the two are intrinsically linked.
perhaps not intrinsically linked.
Both predating time and existence itself. A thought, a possibility.
So it's another God Machine that's not God Machine?
More virulent, unpredictable, chaotic, a chaos to the God Machine's order.
God Virus?
Potentially.
But an infection begins somewhere, and even if it is before time, I don't know how we will reach it to determine its creation.
The creation is inconsequential at this time. The prevention
Sadly.
and suppression is
If you
potentially,
understand... Sorry. No, go ahead.
no, that's meandering.
Creation is arguably more important. If you understand the foundation of a structure, you know how to bring it down. If you know how it was built, you know its weak points. You can look at a castle and wonder how to assault it, but if you knew how it was built, how it was created, you would know that the ground on one particular wall is partially softer and can be collapsed. Metaphorical examples.
Of course. And
Just-
if such options become available, I suggest we exploit them to their greatest potential. However, as facts remain, such details are not forthcoming.
Options, then, we shall create. Or at least I will. That is the plan.
Bzz, bzz, bzz,
Who's
bzz,
buzzing?
bzz.
I'm-
Maven.
I'm stopped. Oh,
Yeah,
We're out of time. Huh?
How is this? How is this
outside
buzzing?
everyone, literally.
It's the demon calling.
Yeah.
If my phone is buzzing inside this time pocket, sure. What that's concerning.
One of those weird things. Time's technically stopped, but technically not stopped. It's one of those things. You know how it works.
Sure.
Because nobody in the real world's gonna perceive time being stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is technically happening in the real world.
So, what's on my phone?
Well, you'll have to leave the pocket dimension.
Oh,
Time stopped, but I'm just letting you know that there is something that will require Maven's attention.
I see.
Your phone's been locked in mid buzz since you stepped in.
Okay. Well, I apparently have a phone call to make or something. This was an interesting discussion. So let's at least I'll try and stay alive until the next one. And Maven will walk out.
As you walk out to check your phone, as it almost taking like a little bit of a smoke break, it is a mass text message. When I say mass, I mean more massive than you could have ever imagined.
That's a really big number with a quantum computer in mind.
Well, when you think of group text messages, you probably think, oh, maybe at most 20 people. Let me just confirm the number. Because the number is...
The entire population of
No,
wherever we are.
no, it's not the entire population of India.
Probably the entire employee count of Blackfire.
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. So this is a security thing because
Yes.
they didn't get a buzz. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yes, Gandhi there is 100% correct. It is everybody. Special security meeting. We are to meet at this location at 2. Obviously, they're using military time.
Okay.
We are going to have a special guest arriving. Security protocols are going to be changed. Further information will be forthcoming once we are at location.
Okay. Where is location? How far is it? How long does it take to get there?
As you look at the map's address, as it were, for some reason you already knew the answer.
That one facility.
Yep, way out in the middle of nowhere.
Hooray! That's 9 hours away. Well, technically 9 hours. Could get there instantly, but that wouldn't be very realistic now, would it? Wait, at 2? What time is it right now?
This would be probably shortly after the workday. There was enough important things that this is probably like 6 p.m.
Okay, so I have all night to get there.
Yeah, you have roughly...
2 is 2 a.m.
Yes.
Well, 2 is technically like 12:02, but alright, you know.
Is it 2 normal time translated to military time, or is it 2 military time?
It'd be 200 if you want me to be...
Oh, 200.
Yeah,
Okay,
200.
2 a.m.
Yeah. Which means they are expecting you to break a few laws to get there because, you know, it's roughly about 6 p.m. You're looking at 4, 6, about a 7-hour for a 9-hour drive. So they're expecting you. It's one of those things. You can do it if you're breaking a few, you know, laws.
I think they'll be able to cover any tickets I might get.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, technically it's doable, but...
Okay, well then, Maven's gonna before he leaves, he's gonna post on, you know, their chat site. Got called in to that same place, really far away. Back later. And he'll get to driving.
Kant, Praxis, Are you guys discussing anything, or are you also leaving?
I don't think there's anything else to discuss
Yeah,
personally.
I'm
Sorry,
not sure. Not
player.
sure what else we have.
Right.
But I will add that if there is anything that I can do to be of assistance, then let me know. I know we disagree on certain matters, but
You've already informed me that the origin of my quarry is out of time and before the God Machine. This narrows it down, actually immensely. It does not make it any easier, but it does narrow it down.
did you mention your angel as well? Or did you mention your angel tracking?
I know I had previously mentioned I had tracked at least one of the angels to the 61st floor.
Did
But
you have
this
a name?
one in particular. Did I have a name for the archivist guy? I don't think I did. Did I?
No.
Nope.
No.
You had a description.
Yeah, I just had a description, and he lives up there.
If you wish to continue to search, I have Cara McNeil, a researcher. Also an angel.
Coincidences are I'm probably already aware. I do not believe there are that many angels in this building.
Not that many still creates a problem. One creates a problem.
Problems are opportunities if you spend them correctly. However, a lack of angels means that your scheme to perhaps trap one and do whatever experiments Deva Corp wants on it is difficult. As we are all aware, there are hunters in the building. They will probably not very politely respond to the abduction of an angel.
I'm counting on it.
Well, then I hope you have a lot of friends in Blackfire to put one down. Or I hope you're more capable than I assume. The hunters
take
are...
that.
That's their goal. Their job. The hunters are hunters. Takes a specialized method. A specialized individual to bring one down alone.
I'll take your words as a compliment. And I am aware of the danger they present.
Well, I shall begin my search for things that should not exist, I suppose.
Things that should not exist throughout time.
Well,
It will be there. It will always be there if you know where to look.
well,
Good luck.
I've found one. It's in the laboratories. I need to find where it began.
And with that, Praxis, where are you heading? And then Kant, where are you heading?
I'm going to step back, not do anything till the next day, but my next focus is to now go into the research through those tomes. I want to find enigmas and the little blips in reality, and anything I can on the nature of the contagion.
I am going to be re-establishing contact with my other potential way to fix the disease, and see if that mysterious, well-traveled researcher of sorts has ever heard about things that exist before infinity and time. He's probably the closest lead I have immediately, so whatever, throw my hat in the ring. arbitrarily, doing things bluntly seems to be getting results, much to my dismay. So,
Maven.
Driving.
I know. Your driving eventually does come to an end as you get to the outside of the facility. Did you use any cheat codes, as it were?
Probably not. Driving in the city would probably be too many, people around. And then driving out of the city, probably through the desert, maybe. But if any other speeding cars are there, they're going to the same place that I am.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm at least ahead of some other speeding cars, I'll be fine. I don't want to be the last one there.
Yeah, you're not going to be the last one there. As you get out of the vehicle, and you notice they're not meeting inside the building.
Oh.
The members that are showing up there are showing up they're just congregating, as it were.
Milling about. And
yeah, people are...
chit-chat.
It's a little bit more than just idle chit-chat.
Oh.
People are curious. This is not common. People are wondering who this very clear VIP is. It isn't too much longer, probably about 30 minutes or so after you arrive, that one of the more well-dressed individuals begins to speak up. All right, everybody, settle down, settle down, settle down. He's speaking loud enough to be overheard by the group, but he's by no means shouting. One of our founding members is going to be on site, which means we are to escalate. And with that, almost as if on command, the hole in the mountain that Maven happens to know leads to the underground bunker, as it were. Roll perception.
Okay. 2 succeeds.
You hear what sounds like thousands of footsteps marching.
Marching in just...
Yep. As individuals that all look identical to each other begin to file their way out of the mountain. Maven would recognize this particular face. A few of these were the ones that grabbed him.
Does anybody else in the crowd seem surprised, or are they all cool with it?
There's a mix. The ones that are less surprised, you would probably think they may be working from this facility.
Mm.
The ones that you've specifically, like your desk mate from the other day, he looks absolutely baffled, perplexed, terrified.
Flabbergasted.
Those are just some of the words.
And I will go ahead and adopt some of those mannerisms as appropriate.
This escalation is going to come to a head. Not tonight, not tomorrow, but within the next week, we're taking New Delhi. It will be an occupied city by our forces. we are going to control all means of production within the city. All means of production, let me just phrase it like that. Whether they be purely of a manufacturing variety. We will also be taking some of the neighboring lands, so we will also be controlling agricultural means. Anything and everything that we can get our hands on. There is a reason for this, but that is not my reason. And it's at this point that, also with your perception, you would have also been somewhat aware of the whirling blades of a helicopter off in the distance that has now become much more loud as a helicopter begins to set down nearby. An older gentleman, clearly in his 70s, possibly 80s, steps out. Military attire, but of a far more formal variety. He steps up and he goes, "Quite so. And he taps on a headset. Been listening in on my ride over. You know what? Let me stop my roll for a second. Who are you? Who all here are privy to who I actually am? Well, get introductions out of the way if they need to be done."
I assume I'm not. Other than he's a founding member, because they just mentioned it.
Yep. Alright, so... here I go flipping through the book again, because... that's live, right?
I've got some names here.
Yes, if you could throw them... no, I found it.
Got John Michaels, Henry Bay, and Sir Charles Grey.
Grayson, yep. Sir Charles Grayson is the name. One of the 3 members here. Now, the introductions are all over with. I don't need people to start rambling off 100 different names at me that I will not remember. Deva Corp has been keeping certain things from the public that I am not okay with. At least not in the capacity that they are doing it. We're gonna make sure that we wipe out every single one of them. There will be no one left standing. The contagion that was brought in will be seized and dealt with in a manner that I and the others deem fit. However, we are not a science team. That is the only reason we are not moving tonight. As painful as it is for me to admit it, Deva Corp has a role to play in the very, very short term. Once we get the information we need, I expect all of you to show up and begin gunning everybody down. Questions?
Maven will raise his hand.
Yes.
Are we taking out only Deva Corp, or is it everybody in that specific building? Because there are other companies there.
At this point, right at this moment, that building is just considered Deva Corp to us here at Blackfire. You're one of the newer ones, aren't you?
Yes, sir. It's been, how long's it been? A week or two?
Yeah, if that. Like, somebody may need to get you a little bit more up to speed. That person's not going to be me. But yes, that includes everybody in this building. There are a couple of concerns. We are aware of Chiron having security details that are going to be a bit more problematic. That is why we also have, and he gestures to the literal army behind him, expendable members of the organization.
There's, so Maven, put on that pause of holy crap, everybody, and he's gonna voice that like, is that 100% everybody, like even non-combatants, HR type people?
When you have a contagion such as the one we brought, I cannot be certain that anybody outside of my own ranks is not infected. 2, we don't know. All we know, he pauses and changes what he's going to say a bit. All we know is that Deva Corp is nothing but millions upon millions of cogs in a machine. We've witnessed it. You pop one out, one comes right back in. We don't know which one of those is vital and which ones are not. So, there's a very classic saying, better safe than sorry. If you don't know which cogs are important, the whole adage of cutting the head from the snake doesn't do much when you don't know what head it is, and when this entity seems to be able to regrow parts of its body. So it's best just to throw the entire thing into the furnace, do you not agree?
Yes, sir. That does make sense. This is also a worldwide corporation, as I recall, as well. They would have locations or, headquarters in other places, yes? Is this a simultaneous hit?
Very much so.
You have just finished listening to this week's episode of Demon the Descend, Frayed Wires, part of the Domain Gaming's Contagion Anthology, written and told by Wyverian. A special thanks to you, the listener, and if you wish to continue supporting us, subscribe, like, and share. As always, comments are welcome. Until the next chapter, don't stop asking yourself, what does one do if the slaver is the key to one's survival?